kick it.
Did you actually kick it, though?
I kicked it.
Because I don't hear anything.
It's been kicked.
Anyway, hey, welcome to another episode of Hardheaded. I'm your host, Matt Amos. With me, as always, Troy Trussell.
Yo.
In studio. Chet, Sears is actually not with us today. He was really worried about the outcome of this election and got on a plane and went to Europe.
He took off.
He took off, left his wife and kids.
He's like, Harris is going to win. I'm out.
He said he was out. So he is, I don't know if it's Luxembourg. I don't know where he's at, but I think it was Luxembourg because I called him Luxembourg-ish, and I don't know if it's Luxembourg. Anyway.
I think he's in China.
He may well be. But anyway, in any case, he is not here with us tonight, but he has sent us an extremely long, painful video. Yes. Roughly 13 minutes long.
He said it was 10. But.
He did say it was 10, which even at 10, I was like, you're not here. That's too long of a video for us just to sit here and listen to you. Yeah. Let's make this episode all about you.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, so tonight we're going to...
Wait. Shut up, Chet. He's already playing. He's already talking.
Trying to talk over me, and Chet. He's not even here. But so yeah, we're gonna talk about the results of the election that took place on Tuesday. We thought when we scheduled this because we're like, well, let's record this the day after the election because we may still be waiting on results to come in, and it was such a decisive election. It was known last night.
Results were in. Who
it was going to be. Kamala conceded this afternoon. I can't remember, around 3:00 ish.
Yep.
But actually a very graceful concession, I must admit.
Well, that's good. I didn't see it.
I watched it.
Been working,
and it was nicely done. But they're obviously going to continue to work on the issues that they were concerned with and move forward. But anyway, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the top 3 things that we're looking forward to with the current administration. And then Troy is going to close us out with a good word. But to kick it off.
Hey, question for you. Did you stay up and wait until it was over?
I waited all night.
All night. So I went to sleep. I was like, I'm putting it. It's in God's hands, whatever. Hope he wins. Went to sleep.
Yep.
I woke up one time, like around 1:00, and I noticed he was still ahead, but it hadn't been decided yet. How late was it when it was finally decided? I
think shortly after that it was decided. I wasn't really paying attention to my clock. I was doing the whole. So I actually stepped away from the legacy media. MSNBC, CNN, Fox. I didn't watch any of those.
I didn't either. I didn't turn any of that on.
I will tell you, as a conservative, the Blaze.
Oh yeah, Blaze TV
had election coverage. They didn't do the whole map thing. Well, it's like, well, if here's the road to success. If he wins here and here and here and here and here and here, it was reporting the facts as they came in. As a state was called, they reported the state that was called. They continued to talk about the numbers of turnout and how Hispanic males actually turned up more for Trump than I think he got more than the Democrats did. Yeah. And then more of the Catholic vote, more of the Jewish vote, and just how across the board he just earned more votes, which ended up with him actually winning the popular vote, which hasn't happened in I don't know how many years but it's been a long time since a Republican has won the Electoral College and the popular vote. Yeah. But so anyway, I was there with Blaze TV. Glenn Beck was doing the special, doing all the kind of the talking. And then he had 2 other ladies that were with him and then 2 other dudes. And ended up the 2 ladies had something to do, so they took off around midnight, something like that. Glenn Beck took off around midnight, 12:30, and then was just kind of these other 2 dudes. And then they were the whole staff over at Blaze, I guess, had different areas that they were covering. And so I actually outlasted all of them. Until they called the election, until I believe first it was Fox and then Decision Desk 2024 called the election for Trump. And then I actually stayed up until he addressed the people at Mar-a-Lago for his victory speech.
Yeah.
So I stayed up for that. I think I finally got to bed around 4 o'clock this morning, I think is when I finally kind of zoned out.
Wow.
Mostly because I made a prediction. Now, granted, this is going to go against everything that I'm going to talk about later because I believe we need to be gracious in victory just as
Right.
I was gracious in defeat when Trump lost 2020.
Right.
Matter of fact, I instituted coffee and a donut around that time, and I was willing to talk to whoever, and I said, "Hey, let's work together and let's come together on some issues and work these things through," which I hope the other side will do for us. But back on October 21st, so I don't know if you remember me talking about Threads, but it's basically like the liberal Twitter. Like they started it because everybody was once Musk bought X or bought Twitter and turned it into X, they all migrated away. And this is kind of what they created. So it's kind of tied to Facebook, I believe. But anyway, it's an echo chamber for liberal views. Matter of fact, I was reading comments today that says, I haven't seen one conservative on here. And another comment was, this is just proof that Threads is just an echo chamber. And I was like, I've been saying that for months. Like, that's why I'm here, is just to give you guys a different point of view. But anyway, back on October 21st, 2024, I made a post on Threads that says, I cannot wait for the complete meltdown on this app. If Trump wins the election, it will be epic. He got some of y'all so worked up over McDonald's, you can't even see straight. So this is back when he did the whole McDonald's thing. Like, this whole app went crazy with him doing the whole McDonald's bit.
Right.
Which, I mean, he ran an absolutely fantastic campaign. I mean, this is probably the most well-run Republican campaign I have seen in my time as a voter.
Yeah.
He actually had me engaged, which I typically don't even care about anything that they're doing. But that run up to the election with all of the podcasts that he was doing, Rogan, Theo Vaughn, there were 2 other podcasts that he did, and I can't think of them right off the top of my head. And then going to McDonald's, working McDonald's, and then Biden calling the Republicans and Trump supporters garbage, and then he goes and works as a garbage man. Like, it was the perfect. It like he just took everything and just made it his, which was fantastic. So I mean, again, I don't put my faith in a president. Matter of fact, I shared a video on Election Day on Tuesday, and I just said, "Hey," and it was a video that said, God's in. It doesn't matter what happens today. God's in control. And says, I've been blessed through and the pastor that's saying it goes, I've been blessed through every administration because my blessings don't come from the president of the United States. They come from God. And so I just posted that for everybody because, I mean, we didn't know going into yesterday what it was going to look like.
Right.
So, anyway, you didn't stay up.
No,
but you got up this morning.
I got up this morning.
What it looked like for you this morning.
So I got up this morning. So I'd been pulling up the Google, just type in presidential election in Google, and it was counting everything for you. And so when I woke up, it had the check mark on Trump. He had 277 electoral votes to her, whatever. I don't remember what her number was. I just was, glad that he won. That was like probably around 5:30 in the morning. And now he's up to 295.
Is it 295?
It's 295. She's got 226. And then the popular vote, he's got 72 million, so 50.9%. And then she got 47.6%, 67 million.
That's excellent. I mean,
yeah. I mean, that's how many people are in 8 billion are in the world, right?
Yeah,
how many?
like 9 billion people.
How many? I would love to know the number of voters.
So I saw a statistic that said in what was it? In the 2020 election, it was like 66%, or maybe it was even higher than that, of registered voters turned out to vote. And that ended up being, 160 million voters.
Yeah, because if we just add those two numbers right there, that's roughly 139.5 million, and then you have about 2 million that voted for the other four candidates.
So that brings it to about what, 160 or 140 ish?
141, 142 million.
So then they're saying that 160 million people turned out to vote in 2020. Where'd those 20 million extra voters come from? So that's actually the question that they're asking right now, which tells you something funny.
Oh, you cannot convince.
Something funny was going on, because
you can't convince me that they didn't buy it or cheat.
How many did Harris get?
She got 67.4.
67.4, and then I believe, and you're telling me that Biden got 81 million votes.
Is that what they
that's
said?
last year.
Was that the number?
That was the count that they gave, was 81 million votes, when Obama didn't even get. So the two previous elections, they were all about 60. I believe Obama got around 66 million. I can't remember what Trump got before that, but I mean, everybody is kind of in that 60-some million votes for a win.
And everything that happened in 2020 with the mail-in ballots and COVID.
So they took a lot of that stuff away.
Yeah.
So people weren't able to vote 4, 5, 6, 10, 20, 30 times.
Yeah. So one thing that I did want to point out that I thought was freaking hilarious, I texted y'all about it last night. Whenever the polls closed on the West Coast.
Oh, in California.
They just straight up, when I had Google, I typed it in, or, I had it pulled up and it hit because it was updating live. Washington and California hit and just immediately went blue, and they gave her the check mark, which we all knew, Oregon, Washington, and California were going to go blue, but I just thought it was hilarious.
Yep.
I took a screenshot of it. I'll put it on the screen here. It has a check mark by Kamala with zeros on the whole page because they had counted nothing, and they just gave her the check mark. And my wife kept saying, we're like, what's the count? And she would read it out loud. Like, Kamala has, 40 and he has, 90. And I was like, well, you always have to add the 54 electoral votes to California before California even gets there, because she's going to get it. Any Democrat's going to get California. So, yeah, thought that was hilarious. What do we want to get Chet's take on it?
Yeah, we can. So Chet sent us, like I said, a very long, I'm pretty sure boring video. But we're gonna hear Chet's thoughts, because we want to give him a chance to weigh in on the election. With him being overseas, I don't know if he's been able to interact with anybody over there to see what their thoughts were about the election. But let's go ahead and hit it, and then we can just.
Yeah, he did break it up into 3 parts, though, so we'll take it a piece at a time.
I mean, it's 13 minutes. It'd be good.
Chunk at a time here.
All right, guys.
I'm already tired of listening to
You're
him.
going to have to bear with me a little bit. I'm coming to you from an undisclosed location in Europe.
China.
Right now, I also am struggling with my voice. I have been talking way too much for my job in the last few days. I'm sure Troy and Matt think I talk way too much anytime, anywhere, anyways.
Yep.
But,
See?
True.
I've used a lot of my voice, and I've got to get through this, so bear with me as we go. I have my trusty fizzy water.
Nobody cares,
here
Chet.
from
Weigh in on the election.
Frizzante,
Put that down your throat.
Water that you get all over Europe, which I
Speaking of fizzy water, I'm going to go get one while he's
am not
talking.
a fan of.
That's a good time to
Enjoy
do it.
at all, but that's all we have in the hotel room here.
Listen, people, if you got a bathroom
I want
break
to cover a few
or
things from the election.
kids need to change a
There's
diaper,
3
now's a
main
good time.
points I want to talk about to you today. What happened, the media reactions, and now what? So just kind of a quick take. I was able to be up during the daytime here and see a lot of the things that were happening online as the night was going on and the results were coming in and the media was breaking down. It was pretty exciting to see and also to watch from a distance, which was pretty cool. But what happened?
Pause it.
As of right.
Yeah. So the media breaking down.
Oh yeah.
So like I said, I did away with legacy media altogether, but every now and then, Blaze would put up a clip from CNN or a clip from another news channel and just show them melting down. It was epic. Like that was probably the most fun election coverage I've ever watched, was them just kind of really calm, just reporting the facts. I think they knew ahead of time. I just think they were really solid. Like, Trump's going to win. And I was actually talking with my buddy about it last week. And I said, well, judging by the market, because I constantly I'm watching the market to see if there's something that I can make a move on or if I need to get rid of something. And I'm watching it and I'm like, it's just slowly climbing up. I go, that's typically a really good thing for somebody that's going to be good for the economy, because it hasn't been moving like this for a while. And for people that, and I've watched a lot of people comments, about the market. It's at an all-time high and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no.
Is this still up today or do you go?
Oh, it's way up. It's way up over last night, what I was telling you. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I wouldn't looked at it.
But I reported that actually before Glenn Beck even spoke on it. So I kind of felt like I willed it into existence.
There you go. You did.
Anyway, Chet, what do you got instead of looking stupid?
Now, Trump won 292 votes through the delegates through the Electoral College. Harris is at 226. From a popular vote perspective, Trump had 72 million and Harris had 67 million. This is the first time in, I think, around 36 years where the Republican has won the Electoral College and the popular vote. That's a big shift. 20? And I honestly believe
the amount of time. I just said it's been a long time.
That's one of the reasons that Harris has already conceded. She did that earlier on Wednesday, and it's truly, because the Democrats have been arguing against the Electoral College for a little while, but now that the popular vote was won as well, we see that a Republican is able to do both Electoral College and popular vote. Trump also dominated the swing states, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Georgia, Michigan. It was pretty fascinating.
I don't even think it was close.
That he won all of them, and she had to have a specific path through there, just like he did. And he actually won every one of those. It was pretty interesting seeing some of the news people not declare states, even though it was mathematically impossible for Harris to come back.
So that's one thing I kept my eye on that I thought was really good. Early on, he had like 3 and she had 4 that were blue, because the way they did it on Google, like they would show the percentage and it would update live and it would go back from red to blue as they were battling it out. But it was pretty cool. By the time I went to bed, they were all, I think all but one of them, all but Pennsylvania, had turned red. And it was just like, what? This is incredible.
So, and that's what's so funny. Again, hey, look, I can't wait for all of us as Americans to work together and work for the common good of everybody.
Right.
But nothing made me happier than to just follow the meltdown last night on Threads. Like I'm watching and I'm like, they're like, oh, it's a red mirage and the blue wave is coming, and and then the more and more red everything turned, and the hopes and dreams you could just tell from these people were just dashing, and then they started getting really mean and vile with a lot of their comments, and today is even worse. Strangely enough, Troy, wrap your brain around this. So one of the big topics across the country for this election was abortion.
Right.
Not necessarily here, but as a states' rights thing, because that's, when they did away with Roe v. Wade, Trump made it states' rights. And
well, it wasn't big here because we already voted on it.
right.
Yeah.
So
and lost.
Again, whatever. So their big thing was they're so upset over the abortion rights and Trump getting into office, not like he's going to change anything. It's already been done. So they lived under it for 4 years with the Harris Biden Harris administration,
right?
That they lived under it. So nothing really changed, but they're really just up in arms over this stuff. And then guess what they started saying?
What?
That they weren't going to sleep with dudes for 4 years. And I'm like, the problem's taken care of itself.
Yes.
You're not going to need one because that's exactly it, right?
They're going to abstain.
They're going to abstain from
sex.
sex, and they're not going to have sex with men because
that's great.
Because they don't have rights to their bodies, so they're not going to allow men to do anything. Like, so problem solved, problem staying solved. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. God works in mysterious ways. You know what I'm saying? But it pretty excellent.
Anyway, back to Chet.
Another interesting fact, and I think this is more of a reflection of the voters in these states than it is. Then I would say that there's some kind of a scheme, if you will. But the only states that Harris won are states that don't require voter ID. When you get down to the core of who should be voting in our country, the people that live in states that elected state governments that passed laws that said you have to be proof that you're a citizen in order to vote. Trump won those states, and there are some states that have no laws one way or the other. Some that have picture ID laws, and some just proof that you're a citizen or have an address. Some of those things. But Harris only won those states that don't allow voter ID, which I find pretty interesting. And another thing that happened, and I saw this the minute it came through. I happened to be logged into X at the time. The Houthis, the terrorist organization that's running out of the country of Yemen, they've been terrorizing their coast and shifting a massive amount of marine traffic.
I thought he meant Hamas, and it autocorrected or something.
Yeah.
He texted that us,
he
earlier.
He texted that to us earlier because he's claiming that he left the country and then all of a sudden the Houthis called a ceasefire. He basically trying to take credit for it.
He's really superstitious. I don't understand.
Yeah, whatever. But I did have to give him the definition of because I told him, I was like, I don't know who that is, but it definitely wasn't the work of a runner, because I called Chet the runner running away from the election. And then I had to give him a definition of facetious because
I noticed that. That was good.
Specifically with goods, container ships, oil and gas ships. They've been attacking these ships up and down the Yemen coast. So much so, I was actually in Saudi Arabia less than a month ago, and I was visiting the east coast of Saudi Arabia, and we were talking about some of the traffic issues that were happening in my more recent visit that weren't there last time I was there. The locals said that's because all of the port traffic has shifted from the east coast or the west coast of Saudi Arabia over to the east coast because they're trying to avoid the Houthis in Yemen. And so it shifted the maritime routes in the Middle East. It was as soon as I think it was Fox News declared that Trump would be the winner based on the Electoral College and their predictions. The Houthis came across and said, we're implementing an immediate ceasefire, and we're going to stop all of our activity and outside of the coast, outside of our border. So we're already starting to see some of those effects, and I think some of those will keep coming in. So that's basically what I wanted to cover from what happened. The other one, you look at media reactions. I'm.
How much time's left? Because he said that's what I wanted to cover.
5:32. He's got about 5 more minutes left.
So 5 more minutes of what?
I don't know. Point 2 and 3. But let me touch on the Houthi thing. So some more of that's going to come in, he said, and when Trump was in office before, there were no wars.
Right.
And that's a good thing. And my only question is, like, it could be like, I don't know, like, oh, Trump won, we need a ceasefire. Like, I don't know. That could have been the reason, but is it just coincidence that happened, or because he doesn't even go into office until January? Because he can't really do anything until he's in office.
Correct.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just a happy circumstance, but let's take credit for it.
Hey, I'll take it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Democrats would.
Absolutely.
They would find a way
to
tie all this in. So we're going to go ahead and claim victory, and he's already got one ceasefire under his belt.
There you go. Boom.
Russia, Ukraine next.
I'm not going to go through a whole lot of them here. I thought it was pretty interesting from a Morning Joe perspective. I think there was a little bit more introspection there than what we're seeing elsewhere. I think a lot of the media that I've been watching up till now has been in denial. But we see Morning Joe. They mentioned that the ad, the she's for they, them, and he's for you. That ad was devastating because a lot of the middle of the road Democrat Party members feel that the Democratic Party has been hijacked by the extreme far left. And when it comes to men competing in women's sports, they mentioned some along their friends, their Democratic friends who have kids in college who are Democrats. They are so scared to speak up because they feel that a more liberal Democrat is going to cancel them if they say the wrong thing or use the wrong pronoun. And so I think that just the general sentiment across the country is the far radical stuff is just way too much. That's one of the things. So that a little bit of introspection there. There needs to be some lessons learned. Truly, I would love to see the Democratic Party come back more centric, but we'll see. We'll see if they actually learn from this. Another take that I heard was the Democrats just drove us away. If you disagreed with a Democrat during this campaign, you were called a Nazi, you were called Hitler, you were called racist. There was no middle ground. They did not allow for a middle ground. So they either said you're with every part of our platform, and if you're not, you're a Nazi and you're Hitler. Not just the people that you support, but the people that support Trump are the worst people of all. And I think it also is a statement on the insurrection of January 6th that people don't feel that way. I think most people feel probably like I do, that was a riot. It was uncalled for. It shouldn't have happened. But in no way did I feel that the government was threatened and that we were going to lose our form of government based on those nitwits that showed up at the Capitol and with stupid costumes and T-shirts and shouting. I mean, like, really, that's how governments are overthrown. So I think the people of the country voted.
Didn't burn anything down. They didn't do anything. It was a protest.
So, now what?
Peaceful, by the way. The only one who was killed was a protester.
We heard.
Like, dumb. I mean, in the law enforcement, if you watch the video, law enforcement opened the gates and let him in.
Yeah, it was all.
It's not like they trampled over law enforcement to get in. Chet's wrong.
Yeah. Well,
he is in Europe now, so he's got the European view of things. So it's kind of.
Well, the whole thing was like agents going and starting it all, right?
Supposedly.
Yeah.
But we can only go on the facts that we know, and I don't know that to be a fact. I haven't researched it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that to be 100% fact.
Did you hear Elon Musk and Rogan the other day?
I watched a little bit of it. I haven't got a chance to get through all of it.
He started talking about how many government agencies there are. Did you realize there's over 450 government agencies?
Oh, I mean, I don't doubt it, but
yeah, I hope he goes in and fires.
Oh, it's going to be house cleaning. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Anyway.
Trump 8 years ago promised a lot
more
of things.
minutes.
We got some of that, and we didn't get some of it. But just to remind you of some of the stuff that he's been talking about is going to happen in this presidency is cutting spending significantly, getting big pharma out of the FDA and the NIH and all of the other focus that we have from a health perspective that pharma's baked into our government. Close the border, and we've got to deal with the millions of illegal aliens that have flooded across our border. I don't know how to do that. I'm not going to claim that I do, but it needs to be dealt with. We need to figure that out. We've got to fix the economy, get inflation back under control, get the cost of living, food and utilities back into a good place, and then we need some peace, world peace. Come on, Trump, give us world peace. We're starting to see some of that, but I really do think it's going to shift, and he's got to deliver on all these, and I think it's our job to hold him accountable. Nothing's happened yet, other than the biggest step towards this stuff getting done. We know none of this would have been done if Harris would have been elected. So we need to hold Trump accountable to that. And the last thing, and we've heard this ever since I've been following politics, is just to remember. It's about the economy. Really, a lot of the values that people have when it comes down to if they're able to live the lifestyle that they were just living 4 or 5 years ago, get back to that, that matters more than a whole lot of this other stuff that has been inflated through the media and your party, our party. It's about the economy, stupid. It matters. It matters to people. So that's my 2 cents. I don't even know if all this is going to get in there. I'm going to send this to Troy, and he's going to embed it somehow in the video. So,
all right, Chet.
He doesn't have the power to say that.
I'm
the host here.
I'm cutting that part out.
I'm so glad he's done. Gosh.
Yeah. So all in all, it was an exciting, nervous, election day. But the later on it got I was able to go to sleep. That's how relaxed I was. Like, I think he's gonna win.
See, and I was kind of like Glenn Beck. He was sitting there and he's like, man, I hesitate to leave and go to bed because he was like, I got to be up for an early flight because I got a speaking engagement tomorrow. And he goes, but I'm having flashbacks to 2020 when this happened. I went to bed and then woke up, and then all of a sudden there was some trickery going on. And so
I did feel a little bit of that going to bed. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But it was so funny because I started out because I was going through YouTube and I was trying to figure out where I was going to watch the results come in. And I could see at the time, Fox was just flashing just like pictures. They didn't have anybody commentating or anything, and they were just flashing pictures up. And I was like, that's boring. And then I went to NBC, and they were just they were losing their minds about this and she's gonna do this and this and historic turnout for this and his campaign, and this is what made me turn it off. Because I was like, I'll deal with it up until a point. But NBC, the commentators on there were like, the last, few weeks of his campaign, they just didn't have any energy. He wasn't able to fill stadiums and he wasn't able to do this. And I was like, are you out of your mind? Like,
right.
Where are you getting this from? Like, he was filling stadiums. I don't know how many podcasts this dude did in the last 2 weeks of his campaign. He did 3 rallies the day before Election Day.
Yeah.
3. Like,
he was just flying from place to place.
This is what people are listening to, and this is where they're getting their news because it's regurgitated on Threads. And they're repeating exactly what I don't understand how this could happen. And it's like, have you been watching anything that's been going on?
Well, and all the reporters are repeating. They're all repeating the same thing over.
It's an echo chamber. They're all in their own little chamber that they just talk back and forth, and they hear what they want to hear because that's all they listen to. They don't go outside and listen to the Nazis, the fascist opinion.
Right.
And so it's kind of funny. I'm glad that they're. So here's my takeaways. I'm glad that these liberal blue hairs are abstaining from sex. and reducing abortion rates across the country. Thank you, ladies. Keep it up. Doing God's work without even knowing that you're doing God's work. And Chet nailed it right on the head. I've been trying to come up with a post to make on social media, because again, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, you want to be gracious in victory, just as you're gracious in defeat. And I would like all of us to work together, because I think we are going to have the opportunity to really do some good for America, for all of our citizens, not just conservatives, but conservatives, liberals, libertarians, everybody, independents. If it's done right, I think Trump has assembled a phenomenal team.
Oh yeah, much more so than he had in 2016.
Big time,
Like,
big time.
huge.
I mean, you've got tech guru in Elon Musk. You've got space exploration, which goes along with the tech in Elon Musk,
and weapons.
You've got, which
along with that.
Granted, there's going to be some excellent weapons capabilities that we're going to have that nobody else has, that we don't have to use,
Right.
specifically because we have them. We're not going to mess with them, because Elon Musk can drop that rocket. If he can catch a rocket that's never been done before, we can't do that. He can probably drop
What else
that.
can he do?
Right.
Yeah.
And, and then you've got RFK Jr. Doing the the health,
Food health.
taking over all of that. I mean, things are really, for me, the first time in a long time, things are looking up.
But don't touch the liquid gold there, Bobby. Don't touch the liquid
that
gold.
was funny.
That
He's
was for me. That was freaking hilarious.
That was awesome.
He said that on Rogan too.
So he said that in his acceptance speech last night.
Yeah. I watched it today. Yeah.
And so that's pretty funny. I got a laugh from the crowd.
Yeah.
And so you've got RFK taking that over. I'm sure that they're going to have something for Gabbard. You actually have a vice president that can actually do something, I believe. I've never seen a vice president before that I feel like I know this guy, and I've got confidence in his ability to do whatever he's tasked to do.
Well, I love that in his acceptance speech, how he talked about like, hey, you're going to go into enemy territory. And he was like, all right, win.
And I mean, he destroyed
all of them.
Yeah. Because they have the baseless coming after him over baseless stuff.
Yep.
And, but this team that he's got going into this administration is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And but like Chet said, we need to stay on top of them, keep them accountable.
As the people,
not let them slide, because it's a slippery slope. If things go bad, we go right back to a Harris type
and
radical left.
Right. And one thing you can do to stay on top of that is don't forget about your local elections.
Local election have far more impact than this election will ever have.
Yeah. So when they come around, like, get out and go vote for those. I mean, those have more of an impact on your life than
directly impact your life more than this will.
Than who is in the White House. But
specific, we did this about three or 4 years ago with the wind farms and dealing with our local government at the county level. And I mean, there was an election, and we got rid of the ones that we didn't want. We got people in there that aligned with our views. And I mean, we got things changed and made it work. But that was at the county level. And I mean, that was, and it even went up to state, like the Court of Appeals. And so, on our ballot, the appellate court had a bunch of people that were up for, it was like, hey, should they maintain their position or not? And I went through and I actually paid attention. I was like, okay, this person needs to go. This person could stay. This one needs to go based on how they voted. Yeah. And so pay attention to those things. I mean, it's extremely important.
Yep.
Extremely important. But anyway, you want to move on to the top three?
Top three. Let's do it.
All right, Chet, thank you for sending us that video. Safe travels back to the United States. I hope they impose a huge tariff on you.
Yes.
Coming back, maybe you'll stay. I did tell him today, no takesy backsies. So
that's right.
Luxembourg or wherever he's at can keep him. But if
China.
if they don't, we're going to impose a huge tariff before he can come back. Anyway, top three.
At least bring me some spicy sausage.
Well, I have that.
At least.
I have the spicy.
Well, he's got some that's hotter, he claims.
It's not hotter. It's the exact same blend. Like, it's the exact same thing. Matter of fact, I just made it with noodles. I'd never actually put it in anything. And he's like, oh, we kind of got to put it in stuff. And so I was like, well, if it's too hot for somebody from Louisiana, maybe I'm just like super Kansan and I've got these super taste buds, but because it doesn't bother me at all. And but I was like, well, maybe I'll start throwing in some stuff just to give people recommendations if they need to tone that sausage down. And so I sent them the recipe that I made the other day. But anyway, we're going to move on to our top three things that we're looking forward to with this administration. I guess Chet, you go psych because he's not here and we don't care anyway. I'll go first. Number 3, I'm really looking forward to the economy making a comeback. It's been just incredible. As soon as the scales tipped to the majority in his favor last night, my portfolio has skyrocketed.
Yes. And I pulled up mine as well, and it was up 18%. Of course, I don't have a huge portfolio.
So yeah, if I take one or two things and then I do a percentage of increase, those numbers change a little bit. But overall, in the last 24 hours, I am up 7.5%, which is phenomenal. And if you look, Ethereum, which is a cryptocurrency, is up. Bitcoin is the highest it's ever been. And then there's some other cryptos that I'm involved with that are up quite a bit. So I'm looking forward to a rally there. Just letting that come back.
Yeah.
And because before COVID, I was rocking it. Like I almost cashed it all in with as much money as I had. I was like, this is more than enough for me, and just almost took it out, put it in savings, and I didn't, and lost almost all of it.
Oh.
I didn't lose it, but it went back to I'm still making money on it, but it's not like it was. I mean, there was some serious cash.
Yeah.
And so anyway, looking forward to a rally in the economy. I'm also looking forward to, and it's already started because we're taking credit for it. Ceasefire is already happening.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to Iran being put back in line, stop attacking Israel. I'm looking forward to Gaza sorting that thing out. Stop letting it's affecting all the people over there, which we can argue the rights of Palestinians, Israelis. We can argue that till we're blue in the face. Israel was there first, whatever. But people dying is never a good thing. So let's get that settled. And let's see if he can keep his promise of no wars, keeping North Korea in check. Because they're getting this whole Ukraine. Let's stop giving them money, number one, which I guarantee is probably going to happen already. We're not giving them any more money.
Oh yeah.
And then let's get Putin back where he belongs. Let's get Ukraine back where they belong, and just let's settle that.
Yeah.
Even though because that's affecting us because we're obviously supporting Ukraine in a financial sense, and I'm sure with weapons, which again. I don't even know why we would need to be involved there, but
yeah,
again, I don't know the world scope either. So that's number 2. The number 1, I'm super excited about the next 4 years, and my prediction going through abortion rates are dropping because these women. They're not sleeping around.
They're not sleeping around anymore.
Listen, I'm holding them to what they said they're going to do.
And you saw this on Threads, right?
I saw this on Threads. I could probably pull it up right now.
All right.
Matter of fact, while you're doing your top 3, I'm just going to find some threads on here and just read
Do it.
the ones that are appropriate enough for me to read on a podcast.
Right. All right, number 3 for me, I'm excited to see what Kennedy does with the food industry.
100. I'm super. Yeah.
Food industry, drug industry. They're all what's the word? They're all making a huge profit off of the American people being sick and the crap food that they're feeding us and the pills that they're giving us. Like, I just hope he can get in there and make some kind of a difference, make some kind of a ripple that will get us some more guidelines on what they can put in our food. So I'm excited about that thing. That's number 3 for me. Number 2, man, I'm really looking forward to see what Elon is going to be able to do with the government agencies. That is really fascinating to me, seeing if he's just going to go in there like he did with Twitter and just fire a bunch of people that like, what do you do here? Oh, nothing. Well, get out. Like, I love it. But and the way he explained it, if you listen to it on Rogan, he's going to give them severance. He's going to find them another job. He's not just going to go.
Right. He's not going to go in and just dismantle and people are just screwed.
Right. And he's not going to put people out on the street. He's going to do it in a very civil way, which makes it even better. Like, they're probably in a crap, government position where, they could get into the private sector and just shine, So excited about that. And then both of you and Chet both said economy. That was my number 1, and it is. But another thing I'm really looking forward to see is that border. Our borders have got to be secure. I don't care who's in office. They've got to be secure for the safety of the American people. That's hands down one of the most important things that we got to do. He started saying he's going to build a wall in 2015. He started it. Man, let's finish that joker. And let's put some stuff in place to where people cannot invade our country like they've been doing.
Creating jobs.
Yeah.
Creating jobs.
So that's it. That's my top 3.
I like it.
All right. You want me to end it with a good word? Or are you gonna got some dirty words for us over there?
I'm going to tell you right now, there is not much on here that I can read.
It's funny when I pull up Threads, it's all food related.
What?
Because my only account linked to Threads is my Live Local account.
Oh, I got
Which is
you.
basically food reviews. And so all I see is food stuff.
So here's one that I can read. Appointment is made with my OBGYN, and I'm going to ask them to remove my uterus. I'm not going to die for a fetus. Problem solved. Problem staying solved.
Problem solved.
There's no abortion there, boys and girls. Let's see.
That's a good one. Here's one I found something. It's a meme. It says, "Here's to all the people with different opinions, and we're still friends because we're all adults." And it's cheers. They're cheersing beers.
I see that on Facebook.
Yeah.
I see that on Instagram. I see that on X. I do not see that on Threads. There's nobody that I'm watching on Threads.
I see it on Threads.
That's not Threads, is it?
Yeah, it's Threads.
How do you have pictures?
I got pictures and video and all kinds of stuff on Threads.
What?
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, here's one. Let's see. Yeah, that's a conservative. Mine are conservative people. I don't know. Anyway. All right, you want me to go with a good word?
Yeah, go ahead and kick that good word.
All right, it comes from John 14:27. It says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you." Thank God. "Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid." So, man, I say it all the time. Your trust and your faith should be put in Jesus, not in whoever's in the White House. Yeah, God's the only one that can give you peace. And Matt said it on our last episode. God is the one that puts the people over us in office. You know, he put kings over Israel. He puts people in office. So put your faith in Christ, and your hearts will not be troubled. That's it.
I dig it.
All right, we'll be back next week.
We appreciate y'all joining us. Whether the election went your way or not, chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, the election went your way.
Right.
Congratulations. To those who are listening that maybe didn't go the way they wanted, because I know a few of you out there that I keep in contact with that are kind of up in arms about the results. I'm looking forward to the next 4 years of working together. I'm not going to gloat. I'm not going to, let's get together and let's figure out what we need to do to move this country forward. And I know that it's trigger words when you say "Make America Great," but let's do it together.
There you go.
Anyway, we'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Hardheaded Podcast. Don't forget to share this podcast with others to help us get the word out.
Also, if you haven't yet, please rate and review the show. This helps our podcast show up in other people's suggested shows that may or may not have listened to us before.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.